Down a really muddy two-track in mid-Michigan is Camp Stasa. I hope it's this way. Camp Stasa is the training ground for the Michigan Militia. That was just over 2 weeks ago while the remnants of Hurricane Ike flooded the state. As I got to the end of the road, I was greeted warmly by a heavy-set militia member in a camouflage poncho. Lee Miracle, code name Weapon M. Just about everybody in the militia seems to have a code name. Miracle came up with the idea for the essay contest called the 10-Week Project. Its goal is to get people thinking about the upcoming presidential election and what it means to the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms.
So the 10-Week Project basically assumes that between the time of the election and the time of the inauguration, you know who's going to be sworn in. If this is somebody that you think is going to be very strongly opposed to gun rights, very strongly opposed to what we're doing out here today, you have 10 weeks.
Miracle has been a member of the militia almost from its start in the mid-1990s, when events like Waco, Ruby Ridge, and Y2K helped its numbers grow. Back then, militia leaders plotted and preached about government conspiracies and the threat of a new world order. The Anti-Defamation League has been keeping track of militia groups nationwide over the years. Mark Pitkavich says the militia movement has earned its bad reputation.
Militia groups have a long history of violence. I mean, since the movement first started in late 1993, early 1994, there have been scores of militia members arrested on weapons violations, explosives violations, conspiracy charges.
The paranoia, fear, and hate that fueled the movement also led to political infighting and eventually its near collapse. At its peak, the Michigan militia claimed as many as 10,000 members. Pitkavich says it was likely a gross exaggeration, but admits there has never been a good way to count them. By the early part of this decade, the militia movement dwindled. Pitkavich says today there are perhaps a few thousand people across the country who are involved in a militia.
And so now, with a lot of these groups being informal and not even, you could not always even having formal names, as well as trying to be more secretive, it's impossible to know.
Ranger's hot.
Back at Camp Stasa, Mike, a.k.a. Mad Hatter, takes a break in the rain to do some target practice. Camp Stasa's focal point is a 100-yard-long shooting range. Lee Miracle says the militia movement has changed over the years, and he gets frustrated when people try to stereotype the group as gun-loving radicals.
We want people to train with rifles, but that's not the big thrust. There are a lot of shooting clubs and gun groups out there, and that's what they do. But that's not the sole thing. That can take away from the rest of the preparedness concept.
Miracle says his group wants people to be ready for any catastrophe, natural or man-made. He says the group trains its members how to read a compass, how to treat wounds, and how to evacuate injured people. Today, the Michigan militia lives on in name only. There are about a dozen independent militia groups listed on the website michiganmilitia.com, but none of them can claim to be the Michigan militia. Miracle operates the website, but admits his role is more of an event organizer than a military commander. Getting the message out that the militia is about more than guns and hate is pretty important to Miracle, which is why he's posted the 10-Week Project Challenge.
What's ultimately free is your thoughts, your ideas, and how you express them. And here's evidence to promote that. Here is a look at how many of us think.
Miracle admits that not everyone will agree with his view of the world, and he says there are plenty of militia members who still embrace the radical views that have dogged the militia since its conception. But he hopes to clear the air by getting some militia members to embrace the power of the pen over the power of the gun. For 90.5 WKAR, I'm Rob South.